Ari, you want to count us down?
Sure. 99. 90. I'm just kidding.
Maybe from 3.
4. 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to Thought Cops, the only podcast where every week we police the mean streets of the internet because, hey, somebody's got to do it. And then we let you be the judge, the jury, and the executioner in the court of public opinion. Coming to you live from Neo, Chicago, I am Officer Kevin.
And I'm Officer Grant.
Yeah, like that.
Perfect.
That
went better than I thought. Better. I thought I might, for a second, I'm like, am I whispering it? I was like mouthing it, but I'm like, I don't know. Also, for anyone listening, that was a spectacle you simply must see with your own eyes because we are now entering season 2 of Thought Cops. Zwig, put the little Ghostbuster guy over me, or like put my face on the Ghostbusters 2 icon or logo.
Yeah, Zwig, do whatever you have to do to make this look pristine, please. Also, take out the whispering in the beginning.
So people may be confused. They say, what the heck? Season 2? Isn't this show like 6 years old? Yeah. Guess what? Season 2 begins now. We are starting a new era of podcasting. It's a new world order of Thought Cops. And it begins on this very episode tonight.
Ooh.
And I guess it's a Halloween episode. That's a ghost noise.
Yeah, it's also one of those things, too, where, like, people nowadays are spoiled by watching a season of television that's, like, 8 episodes long. Back in the day, a season of television would be, like, 40-plus episodes long. You would watch a season of Frasier, and it would last multiple years. And you'd be like, this is only still season 1? I'm on episode 56 of Frasier, you know?
You know, some people actually called Frasier the original podcaster. Or wasn't there supposed to be like a Frasier reboot at some point where
I think they're still doing it, yeah. Ari Grabb's with us today.
Yes,
hello.
Yes.
There's
Ari, thoughts on Frasier?
I have yet to see it. All my friends say it's great.
It is good.
Either. I just want to know if I should watch it.
Oh.
I enjoyed it a lot. I think Kelsey Grammer has been on the slow decline since that movie has come out, but I don't know. I'm not looking forward to a reboot, but
Frasier is up there. It seems like that's one of the most beloved TV spin-offs of all time.
Is it a spin-off?
Frasier.
Yeah,
Cheers.
It was Cheers. Yeah.
I didn't see that either. Dude,
I just know from cultural.
I started it. I never watched the rest of it.
Is there a wider audience for Cheers or Frasier? It feels like Frasier.
Frasier, definitely.
I don't know. I mean, Cheers was huge when it came out. And I think they're both big enough. It's like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. You know what? They're just both popular, you know? And there's people love making memes of them.
Well, It's interesting because like Better Call Saul is the prequel, so people don't put it in the same category, which is that everyone always says spin-offs are always bad. And so Frasier really stands out in that regard.
It's up there.
Oh, hold on a second. I'm getting a phone call. Yes, hello? Sorry, the Cleveland show is calling me.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
Let's watch what we say about spin-offs from now on.
That's fair. Frasier's good. It's he's the beloved pompous douchebag, you know. You're like, oh, he's an asshole, but we all learn a lesson at the end, you know?
Is that how that went? You learn a lesson at the end?
More or less, kind of, yeah. Because it was like, it's a very heartwarming-y show, and you don't think that it is because Frasier himself is such like an asshole. Sure. But he always sort of like comes around. There's always some sort of an epiphany. It's always about like family and friendships and how everyone's tied together. It's a good show. I'm not lying. Ari, we got you on to help promote your Kickstarter for Bento Banana 4.
You want to talk about that?
Which it's been fully funded as of 2 hours ago.
A little like 4 or 6 hours ago. Yeah,
4 to 6 hours ago.
It met its goal today.
So I guess all these questions that we were going to ask you, I guess I can throw out. What do you want to talk about then?
I'm going to delete everything right now.
The campaign isn't over. We met the goal. We hit the goal, which is, boy, where do I start? I can talk about this campaign for a while.
How does it feel to hit a goal? I've never done that before. I've never achieved anything.
So many feelings, and I'll elaborate. So, like, the primary feeling, of course, is holy shit! What? This is amazing. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was terrified. Is this the first
Kickstarter that you've done?
I did a little one in college for like $2,000 to help me with my senior film.
I just didn't know if you did one for like a different Bento or not.
No, this was the first one for Bento. And
speaking of Bento, though, for those of you who are listening or watching and are not familiar with the series Bento Banana, Ari, could you let them know what that's all about?
Yes, please. Thanks for asking. Bento Banana is a web series that I animate and write and produce about a talking banana and eggplant who are trapped in a procedurally generated anime. It's kind of a dark sci-fi comedy series that I make.
And you have, so this is the fourth one. There's 3 out there on your YouTube channel currently. The third one is particularly amazing. Our friend of the show, Asterios Kokonos, is in that as the villain, Radishida.
That's right. He was a joy to work with. Yeah, on the podcast, he played it really cool. But I swear, when we were recording, he was just like, "Oh, it's my dream to be a voice actor. Thank you." And then we go and he's just like, let's talk about Urkel.
Just rolling over so you can rub his belly.
He was so fun to direct, and he worked really hard to do it too.
Yeah, for someone who has the outset of the most unprofessional person you might have ever met, he's a very professional.
That's the brand, baby.
The show has just turned into make fun of Asterios when he's not only listening to episodes, but editing episodes.
Well, that's what he gets for roasting us so hard in that one episode.
Hello, Asterios.
That was a highlight. If y'all haven't gone and listened to, what is that, 266, I think?
It was 2 episodes ago. There's the Asterios cut.
Asterios edited.
Must listen. Watch it if you can, because there's a lot of fun visual stuff he put in there.
Yeah, he wrote songs for it. We didn't ask him to do any of this. I just thought he was going to slap something together.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. So yeah, what is your biggest inspirations for Bento Banana? Like, what made you? Because we've talked on the show before. I've gone and visited you when you worked at Rick and Morty. What was your inspiration for doing your own cartoon on your own? Did I say on your own yet?
Yeah. There's a ton, but from the beginning, it should be noted that I made the characters Bento and Plumpy when I was 13 years old. And
really?
Yeah, and this was because I lived in a time, some of you youngins may not remember, when anime was kind of cringe. Not really a thing that was cool to like. But around that time too, there was like really good anime parody kind of going around, like Stinko Man 20XX from Homestar Runner.
Yeah.
And the episode Good Time with Weapons from South Park. And so I was kind of almost more obsessed with that. This kind of way of like LARPing anime, this kind of way of like detached enjoyment of it. Like, because those things clearly also really liked it because they were making fun of it so well. Back then, you might remember there was one fucking Gen X joke about anime, and it was, "It's so cheaply produced." That's the only
Japanimation.
Joke. Yeah, Japanimation. Family Guy did it with Speed Racer, being like, "Oh no," and these like just like cut out poses with speed lines. And
again, as if the very last episode we talked about how cheap and shitty the Scooby-Doo animation is, where it's just like the characters run like this every time. You just took them and you put them into a different episode. I know that. I'm 6 years old and I'm smarter than the makers of Scooby-Doo.
Or like, speaking of Family Guy, talk about glass houses.
I mean, it certainly has some shining moments, but I wouldn't call most of that show to be Sakuga by any means.
Not quite.
What in particular? Why a banana and an eggplant? Like, what was?
I mean, in the
your...
psychosexual analytic sense, they're perhaps phallic objects, but I think really
was that it? Just a 13-year-old's dick joke?
No, I mean, I'm saying psychosexually analytically. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just following my muse. But I think really, maybe this is like not true at all. But I remember in like 2002-ish, bananas were funny. Like that peanut butter jelly time banana rocked my fucking world as a kid. I think that is honestly where Bento came from. Just like, dude, what if he was anime?
I can see that, yeah.
Who are your biggest influences? Like when you set out, because I know like you like I said, you've worked on other shows. Like, are you what is your goal for Bento Banana, like long term? Do you want to have your own show on Adult Swim? You just want to fund your own stuff as you can do it?
I'll actually have a longer, more in-depth answer for this when episode 4 is finished, because that one is gonna kind of reveal some stuff about what I'm kind of laying down around my thoughts towards art and the industry. But for now, I'll say that Bento is not something that I want to pitch as a TV show. There are other things I do want to pitch as TV shows, and I've tried doing some pitches here and there. But Bento is the thing where when the industry is telling me like no, or your asset to us is as an animator, not as a creator, Bento is what I turn to say, y'all are wrong. I got some good shit going on here. So it's very much
I get that.
Meant to be mine, and just something that I don't have to worry about being commercially viable, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know when we started Thought Cops season 1, I think I might have got rejected.
Get it on Blu-ray.
I think I might have got rejected from Clickhole for like maybe the 6th or 7th time, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do my own thing. Grant, do you want to do a podcast? And you're like, yes, I have an idea.
I had an idea already.
I love that.
I was falling straight down the alt-right pipeline, and I was like, why don't we do internet outrage? Have you guys heard of, I can't even remember this shit. Have you guys heard of Gamergate? Do you know who Anita Sarkeesian is?
You know, I'm just going to make a hard
Kevin,
turn.
we have to talk about this.
Back to your question, I just wanted to also throw in that the end goal with Bento is that there's supposed to be one more episode after 4. It's supposed to be 5 episodes long. So the next one, universe willing, will be the last one, but it will be a very, very, very ambitious last one. And I can't even say like it's going to happen, because it's going to take some real legwork to make happen.
Well, it seems like time. It seems like you put out a new Bento once a year, right?
This one's 2 years, man. It's been a little over 2 years now.
Yeah. I don't have any concept of time anymore, but
that's okay. It's an illusion.
Yeah, I would want to ask more questions, but obviously I don't want to jump the gun on my assumptions of what you're willing to or not. Then
I'll just tell you if I will or won't. You can ask whatever you want, man.
That's fair. This new one does seem to be more meta. There was like a line at the end of it. And I do want to circle back to like the Kickstarter stuff, because I feel like we're sort of dancing all over the place, which is cool. Dancing is good, but the
new
last
format,
line,
we're figuring it out.
The last line was, all I wanted to do was run a simple episode recap procedure in that trailer that you released. And is that like it seems like you're looking back to go forward a little bit, and it seems like the parody itself has become a parody of itself, which is confusing to me as a simpleton.
Yeah, it's getting pretty big brain. I won't lie. But
is this one going to be like longer than the other ones too?
Yeah, I think it's the longest thing I've ever made. Actually, it's around 9 minutes now, I think.
Cool.
Yeah. So to simplify that sentence, Bento Banana episode 4 is going to be a recap episode.
Ooh, I hate the recap episodes.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Call me when there's a beach episode.
Well, you might be in luck.
Ooh.
I do love a good recap episode when done well. I was just thinking about this earlier today, but I think y'all remember Clerks, the animated series?
Okay,
Yeah.
So I actually, that episode that you're about to reference was an inspiration to this episode. But I will say that I went back and watched it for some like research, and I was like, ooh, this does not hold up like I thought it did. Still a genius concept, but peppered with some not so funny jokes anymore.
Yeah. I mean, that show was a little hit or miss, but I think at the time when it came out, it was sort of like, oh shit, this is good. Why?
It's an adult animated comedy that's not The Simpsons? Okay.
There's so many of those shows where it's like, oh, we made a movie and now we're doing a TV show, a cartoon based on the movie. And it's like, this is going to be garbage. And it was like, Clerks is not, though. Why isn't it? But then it only lasted for like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of episodes, are we able to watch the trailer for Bento Banana 4?
We sure have been on a lot of adventures together, Plumpy. Now would be a great moment to summarize and recapitulate the main points of our journey thus far.
Excuse me? This disconnection with the base reality is at its brim, and if we keep letting him have these weird little flashbacks, the whole thing's gonna break. All I wanted was to run a simple recap episode procedure.
It looks like Bento finally maybe comes into contact with these people in this control room. I always like the idea in anime of the people in the control room. I don't really ever know what the control room is or did or was. I remember in the third season of Digimon, there was a control room and there was a guy that would always play with a lighter, and I was like, yeah, that guy's cool. He got the voice of Spike Spiegel. He was that guy. And he'd sit and play with the lighter, and you're like, "What are they doing? What's going on?"
Awesome.
Yeah. So is I don't know if there's a question there. I just wanted to say that
I could riff on that.
About the people in the control room.
I mean, yeah, it's that those sequences are some of my favorite sequences of the series, and this one has a lot of them, which is exciting because they're also really hard to animate. If you have a keen eye for animation, you might notice that I differentiate the two realities in Bento with, the anime fruit world, which is all very digital, very clean. It's all on ones. It's tweened. It's rigged. And then the like quote unquote real world with meat people is all hand drawn. They're outlined in blue. They're on like 3s and 2s and 4s instead of 1s. I guess I should break that down. If animations run on 24 frames per second, you'll sometimes see animation on 1s, which means, never mind. It's too technical.
Yeah. Well, I did want to ask you, I forget her name, but the woman in the control room, she is voiced by, you did a podcast. Are you still doing Perfect Pitches?
We're not
going to go back to it?
No plans to. Maybe we will. But that's Laura DeFord, and she has her own podcast called Morning Wood that I'll be doing tomorrow, actually, for fun.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know you had that podcast going for a while. Grant and I were on it. But yeah, she was your co-host on that show.
Yes.
And the voice of...
she's just called the director.
The director.
Yeah.
Director, looks like you're...
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
You sit in that control room, you're the director. Yeah.
Yeah, there was... This did not happen intentionally, but none of the characters in that room ever refer to each other by name. She never says Bento or Plumpy. She says the banana and eggplant. And I think just subconsciously, there's this kind of like redundancy of people as people to them. They're just their role. So I was like, oh, she's just then the director. And there'll maybe be some more of that coming up.
That's,
Sweet.
I think, more profound than maybe you even realize. We're talking about animation and like the individual like specs of the animation and stuff like that. And I know we've jumped into a couple times where you've been doing live streams of the animation, and I know that it's like very detailed, grueling work.
Yeah.
What do you think is like? Is there like a thing that you like better when it comes to like the animation versus like the storyboarding and the storytelling and stuff like that? Is there?
Are you asking which phase of the process do I enjoy the most?
Yeah, or like what's harder? Because I look at the animation and I'm like, I would never ever have the attention to detail to be like Kevin. I think you were talking about like watching him like draw like the individual circles in the crowd to make sure that like it looked right, and then you zoom out and it's like this giant stadium and it's like, holy shit, you did all that, and then you have to do that times how many times you do it. Like to me, that's like I would fall apart and cry if I had to do that. But like, how does that compare to like the constructing process where you're looking at it and you're like, this is the story I want to tell, this is what the jokes I want to put in, stuff like that?
There's a few different trails I can take with that question. I'll see if I can hit them all succinctly.
Take them all. We have time.
So I can't say which stage of the process I enjoy more or is harder, because it's art at the end of the day, and it's all infinite. It's all just a matter of how much you put into it and just what's your kink, what floats your boat, what do you like doing more than other things. I would say I enjoy storyboarding, but it's not my favorite process. Sometimes it is. On 3, I had a blast storyboarding. On 4, this episode is so experimental that I roughed it so fast. Like if you looked at my animatic for this one, you'd be like, what the fuck am I looking at? This is just a bunch of blue scribbles with screaming audio over it. Animation I really like, typically. So, which is why I'm an animator professionally. That's the thing I can do the longest amount of time doing. But compositing is actually, I don't know professionally anymore how much I enjoy compositing. That can be a very rough career. But on my own stuff, it is so much fun to like really finally put polish to the animation. This time around, I'll try to have more shots to show as a side-by-side, because people don't really know what compositing is. It's the best way I could describe it is like photoshopping video. You have an image of something initially, you're like, that looks okay. Then you put it in Photoshop, you add some blur, you add some gradients, you add some contrast, make things pop, and you're like, ooh, that's a picture. Same idea with compositing, but there's also like effects that you add too, and just makes everything just really, really nice.
Is that like what takes it from like, when you draw like the little girl jumping rope on like a bunch of Post-its and you flip through and you're like, oh yeah, I can see how that's like a cartoon. Is that what, like you're talking about like blurring and stuff like that? It's sort of like, if there's motion, we add like a little bit of like a blur so that like when she's jumping the rope, like it doesn't look so like chop, 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 chop.
I'm not sure what your jump rope example includes, because if it's just showing the images in a sequence that looks like animation, that's just your brain being amazing and knowing how to interpolate a bunch of different images happening at 24 frames per second and turning it into one coherent illusion called life. Compositing would be if I put that girl on fire using VFX.
Oh.
Or made her like bumped the contrast on the lines, added a gradient in the background to make it look pretty. That's compositing.
Oh, I'm very stupid.
It's okay.
You know what? I think we're getting a little lost in the weeds. Ari's trying to teach us decades of experienced cartoonist work, but let's talk about something that's the lifeblood of Thought Cop, some of the weird shit we see on the computer, because guess what? It's season 2, but it's not going anywhere, because this week, the one and only Tim Allen had asked a very pressing question on Twitter where he wants to know who is the face of woke. Do Wokies have a clubhouse in someone's backyard? Or maybe a cute yet safe playpen somewhere?
Not you, Buzz Lightyear. Not you too.
Santa? Come on. Yeah, I mean, this is not exactly surprising. Tim Allen has been fucking doing this. Grant, you got to take this guy down a peg.
Well, I've been trying to.
You got to get on TikTok and do a follow-up to your other video where you make a noise.
Oh, well, I haven't done it yet. It's saved in my drafts folder. Yeah.
Okay. Waiting for the right time. Okay.
I love that that's become my my stereotype now, or what do you call it? Typecast?
Typecast, yeah.
I love that that's become my typecast now, is that I'm the guy that makes the noise.
You've graduated from dude from Chicago to grunting guy.
I didn't hear about this graduation. Congratulations, Grant. I know about the Chicago guy. I didn't know you were a grunter now. Yeah,
I'm moving on up in the world by moving on down in the evolutionary ladder.
Can I ask you for the sound, or is that like one of those like those taboos, like asking a voice actor to do a voice?
Oh, I just did the sound, but I can do it again.
That was you?
Is that? Yeah. Did you think we have a soundboard of Tim Allen noise?
I thought. I'm confused. I thought.
No, I did one too. Grant did it earlier. He's saying, and by earlier I mean like 2 minutes ago. Just give us another sample, Grant. Come on, we need our fix.
Yeah, give us a sample.
Well, I said that I would. You don't have to beg for it. I said that I was going to.
Oh, we're waiting.
Right now?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Wait, hold on. Take a sip of water.
Do your thing. Jesus Christ.
I just know I know how great it is to listen to a podcast with a bunch of dead air.
Whoa!
Look out, Tim Allen. Look out, Tim Allen.
I don't think he does the noise anymore, does he?
I don't know. Have they rebooted Home Improvement yet? I feel like that's something that has happened or should have happened. Not that I wanted that to happen, but I feel like
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
like someone would be like, "Hey, it's that time in the cycle where the iron's hot and we can really profit from this. Like, everyone needs this."
And they would do this thing where they would all the kids are grown up. It's they're in the same old house in Michigan, I think. But Tim Allen would say something on Twitter and then be fired from the show after season 1. And they would just call it whatever the family's name is, like Roseanne. They rebooted Roseanne. She took sleeping pills and said some racist stuff on the internet. They fired her.
The Taylors.
They renamed it to the Tim the Toolman Taylor. Yeah, the Taylors. Well, I for one am looking forward to the Taylors, where the inevitable Tim Allen cancellation, and then a show that nobody asked for that won't go away because they're fucking still making the Connors, I think it's called. That's the Roseanne. It's the Roseanne reboot
still on the air?
Spinoff. Yeah, I saw an article about it a couple days ago, and there was a controversy from something, and I'm like, why are they still making it? You know what
trope I don't like when those reboots happen? Like an older show from the 70s or 80s or even 90s, and then they do a reboot that takes place in modern time. It's the characters being like, "Whoa, an iPhone? What's all this new stuff?"
Oh,
apparently, the new Beavis and Butthead's pretty good about it. Apparently, it's really funny. But I've seen other shows that I'm just like, "Oh, this is uncomfortable."
I feel like you go ahead.
Go ahead, Brent.
No, I don't want to.
Okay, fine. I'll
Fuck you. You do it. God damn it.
Whoa.
You asked for it. Didn't Animaniacs kind of do a riff on that? Grant, was that what you were going to say?
Yeah.
No, I was actually going to say, isn't that sort of what, didn't Futurama sort of lean into that a little bit heavily? And I know Futurama's
wait, that's confusing
the third time.
But I feel like when they brought Futurama back, that it was very oh, we all have iPhones, and it's a phone that you put inside your eye or whatever.
That's right.
That's
although
clever.
they did have one great one where they're talking about the idiots at the company Box that fired them.
I didn't watch
I don't
anymore.
remember
I just
that.
saw like one.
Oh,
one
I mean, the
episode, and I
joke,
was like, whatever.
the joke is that they show a giant a building called Box, and then like the B LED kind of flickers and it makes an F, and you're like, oh, it's Fox, and you just see a room of boarheads going, just hitting their heads on the table.
Dude, I've been like rewatching classic episodes of The Simpsons recently with my girlfriend, and I'm just like, every time The Simpsons say some shit about Fox, I'm like, oh damn, they just went there. Oh damn, they really just called out Fox like that. They said Fox has like nasty programming and stuff, and then you're sitting there thinking like, aren't they on Fox? What the heck is going on? How is this legal?
It's kayfabe, baby.
Crazy fucking shit. But I feel like for the reboot thing is, if you are making a reboot now, like the networks and the producers know that everybody's tired of reboots, so you have to do this self-aware thing where the characters are like, oh, I have an iPhone and I guess Trump was president and stuff, and then it's just like you have to get that out of the way, and then you just go back to like whatever Beavis and Butthead, like eating nachos.
Ari, when Bento's over, are you going to reboot Bento? Is that what episode 6 is going to be?
2040.
No. I mean, I'm so like afraid to know if I'll even finish 5. I don't think too much about the future. But since you asked, like my fantasy is if I could do any other thing with Bento after 5. Honestly, I would want to make a video game, and it would be some kind of Sonic clone.
Ooh,
that would be
awesome.
Video game would be cool because it does have that like quality of like those old web games.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying that. What the gimmick I had in mind is that it would knowingly be a game that like the story within the story is that Mochi Flix sold the licensing of Bento Banana to a game company, and so the Bento that you're playing as is not the Bento from the TV series.
Oh, he's a rip-off Bento.
Not a rip-off, but like it's just like a digital copy. Like it's just another, the entire idea of that character is he's just a series of algorithms being plugged into a banana avatar trying to make the perfect shonen protagonist. And so they would just have those same algorithms, but being like, make the perfect video game protagonist.
What if, like, every time you lose a life, it's a new Bento? He just blips out of existence.
I mean, that's a philosophical question. How many Marios have there truly been? Is it the same Mario every moment?
Well, if you've seen my file, quite a few.
Isn't that like is there like a thing, like, is that a trope that like certain video game characters like, oh, it's not the same guy, it's like a different guy every time? Sort of like the end of that movie with the magicians. I don't mean to ruin that movie if no one's seen it.
Oh fuck, Grant, come on, man.
Talk about now.
I don't even know what movie it is. I don't like spoilers.
I don't like magicians.
I didn't like that movie. The Prestige.
Yes.
Barely remember.
Because I remember there was like 2. Remember there was the Prestige, and then what was the other one that was like not as good?
The Illusionist.
Yes.
I actually like The Illusionist better.
You know what? I went into The Illusionist thinking it was going to be the Prestige.
You goofed.
Easy mistake to make. But I was going to say, speaking of video games, have you guys seen this stuff going on with Bayonetta this week?
Yeah.
So I was like mildly curious about this, like what is going on. So for those who don't know, the actress Helen Taylor, I think her name is, or Helena Taylor.
I believe you.
Yeah, Helena Taylor. So she was on Twitter. She was posting some videos and said that she was only offered $4,000 because I guess they announced that Bayonetta, the character, was being recast by a different actress named Jennifer Hale. And then I guess Helena Taylor went on Twitter. She posted 3 videos explaining like, yeah, they only offer me $4,000 for the entire game, which is a pitiful payment for what is basically a AAA game, funded by Platinum and Nintendo. And
at least they didn't replace her with Chris Pratt.
Well,
maybe they will.
Maybe they'll give her a cameo. That'll smooth it over, right?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
but she posted these videos, and it was one of those things where everybody on Twitter was like, "This is horrible. How could they do this? Fuck this. Fuck Bayonetta. Fuck Platinum Games."
I was in that camp, to be honest.
And like, yeah, because I was
reasonable...
like, I'm like, if this is true, then yeah, that's fucking lame, right? But right. I was kind of like, there seems like there's more to this story, because the actress they replaced her with, Jennifer Hale, has like a much bigger resume of acting, and especially in big movies, even some Disney stuff. So I'm like, okay, why would they replace her with probably a much more expensive voice actress? So then the director, or the executive director, whatever this game, Hideki Kamiya, was on Twitter, and now I couldn't see this. Hideki Kamiya blocked me on Twitter. I don't know why. He blocks everybody. Like, if you say, I don't remember.
Explain that. I don't know what the deal with why this guy is like a weirdly controversial.
I'm interested in this story.
It's just some goofy thing he does where he's like he kind of is aggro on Twitter, more or less. But anyway,
is he like a Uwe Boll sort of guy?
Yeah. He's the Japanese video game developer version of Uwe Boll. Who's going to box him? Anyway, so then, Hideki Kamiya is on Twitter, and then he's saying like, this isn't true, like how, but everybody's like, immediately like, fuck you, you pay your actors what they deserve, fair. But then I think it was like Bloomberg or Wall Street Journal or something, like a couple days later, I guess they had multiple sources from multiple employees and other people who like didn't want to be named in the story, who said that was like, I gotta find the exact sequence of events here, but I guess like they offered her like $4,000 per session, and it was like multiple sessions, and it was like verified by I think it was Bloomberg or whatever the fuck. Let me find it here. Yeah, it was
Bloomberg,
posted by Jason Schreier on Twitter, who I know he used to work at Kotaku or something. I don't know what he does now. Basically, I guess they offered her between $3,000 and $4,000 per session for at least 5 sessions, and I guess she asked for a 6-figure fee, and they, denied it, and basically then she put up these videos saying like, I guess she was kind of like disparaging even the actress who's replaced her in the role, and. Yeah, I guess like, yeah, basically like no one's been able to disprove like this new information that's come out about this is that the videos were not the whole story. And, it's just one of those things where like, obviously at first that's like shitty. Like if that, like, I'm like, yeah, if that's true, they only offered her that much money, that sucks, but like it did not add up. And it's just one of those things where I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm just going to wait like a couple days and see what happens, and lo and behold, I guess, yeah, and Jennifer Hale was tweeting about it too. And again, there is a possibility that maybe this isn't true, but I guess that no one has been able to, like I said, disprove it. So I don't know. Well, a lot of these people are playing the game in fucking Japanese anyway.
that side of things definitely kind of, I guess we'll say it cools my jets, because I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely was very reactive when that first post went up. Even hearing that, though, I still feel defensive for the initial actress, because I'm kind of like, yeah, I no doubt that she told the whole story because it's Twitter, and no one ever tells the full story. You just say like the headline, basically.
You only get 140 characters, or
I know it was a video, but like,
oh, I didn't know it was a video.
It was like 3 videos.
Like I wasn't gonna watch any of them.
Like we can say maybe it was at least a half truth. Like maybe saying they only offered me 4,000 isn't the most accurate depiction of what it was relayed, but I think it's true that the deal that she was being offered wasn't fair, and it just strikes me as just another story of voice actors being treated as disposable the same way
that is a big issue for sure. So I mean, yeah, it's maybe that this particular situation isn't exactly what people thought it was at first, but it's also like it's endemic of a larger issue with the voice actor
maybe she did sell it a little bit. But the other reason I feel more defensive of her is that, I'm going to give kind of an ugly example to make my point, which is that, I recall
Stereos $2.
I recall, I think it was earlier this year, after Dave Chappelle was canceled, after all the comedy clubs wouldn't have him, and he was just morosing about it in front of thousands of people in a stadium. He was like, but you know what? Like, it's, I'm funding my own tour. My point is, he was directing them to something, that this story of being a victim was actually a funnel to a project, to a source of income, to his career.
Sure.
She did not have that. She's just like, please don't buy the game, donate it to charity. Like, there is no reason I see for her to object herself to the amount of attention and possible criticism and journalists digging into her than because she felt it was wrong and she had been wronged.
Well, I will say, like, the one thing that rubbed me wrong a little bit too was, like, I don't know, a lot of other people worked on this game. Like, all the other voice actors came back besides her. A lot of people worked very hard on developing the game for a long time. It's been in development for like 3 years, That's a lot of work. And then just because one person, like, warped the story in her favor to, like, potentially lose, like, a lot of this hard work a lot of people put in to be, like, lost because of, like as he puts it in the post here, like, an appeal to emotion. I don't know. That just doesn't sit right with me. So
yeah, there's truth to that. There's truth to that too. She's not the only artist.
Yeah. And, like, it's a bummer. Like, I mean, to be honest, I don't even know if I'm going to get this game. The first 2 games were fun, but it's like, I wasn't particularly, like, frothing at the mouth to play it. But like, it was like when this happened on Twitter, it was like everybody was replying with, like, the screenshot of their Amazon order with, like, order canceled. And they're like, take that. And it was like, all right. I mean,
I just gotta say, there's 2 sides to this story. There's maybe she's right, and maybe the video game company's right. And I'm sitting over here. I'm sitting over here.
Get your feet up on your desk, looking real casual.
I'm sitting here all enlightened, saying, I just want the workers of the world to unite. That's all I want.
Thanks, man.
I've given it some more thought. I'm actually taking her side on this issue.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm taking her side on this issue because Hideki Kamiya still has me blocked. So fuck him.
And I have to admit that, like, her narrative definitely appeals to my view of the world, which is, oh, really? A video game company, like, shafted you? Huh. Yeah, sounds right.
Not unlikely, right? Not unlikely,
right?
It is true. They do be shafting.
You want to talk about one more story, Grant? Which one do you want to get to?
Let's see. We have Kanye West has been opening his mouth a lot.
No,
Alex Jones has been closing his mouth a lot.
Actually, can I talk more about my Kickstarter?
Yeah,
Yes.
I did want to talk about it because you did say at the top, and then we asked 100 more questions, but you said that you had a plethora of things that you could say about it, and then we trampled you and didn't let you talk anymore. So the floor is yours. Talk about the Kickstarter all you want, because so you hit the goal, but there's more to do. So what more can you do with the more that you have to do with?
Whoa. You're telling me I can still give this thing money?
Kevin, you can give as much money. You can give as much money as you want. So yeah, let me slow down my brain for a second, because nothing is concrete yet. I have to have a meeting with my team still about what these stretch goals will be. But the way it's planned out is that the goal that we hit today, which, Jesus Christ, I'm still like, what? That's like that was the amount I was like, okay, this is the amount that I need to be able to pay my artists and also pay the government my fair taxes and still be able to like finish this film just barely.
Do you know where that money goes?
Shut up. But nonetheless, there was a part of me that was hoping I could ask for more because I wanted to do a lot more VFX, a lot more work in compositing and VFX and editing. So that's probably going to be the stretch goal I get to next. But even beyond that, there are some other, I have no idea really what the remaining shelf life of this campaign is going to be. If the momentum stops here, hey, I did it, right? It's all good. But
we're giving you the Thought Cops bump. You got at least another $5 coming your way from one of our fans.
That $5 will go into something good. There's a short I wrote. There's like a 1-minute sketch of Bento as a magical girl. Did I talk about this? Can't remember.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, there was a cut scene from this episode that it just didn't fit anywhere, but I thought it was really funny. It's essentially just an excuse to give Bento a magical girl transformation sequence. So I think at a certain tier, that will be its own thing that I'll animate. We'll see. Like there's definitely stuff that would be really fun to animate and would really help me along the way. So, the main goal has been hit and we are gold. And I hope at this point now I'm just asking people to invest in an already winning horse.
Yeah. Do it. I'm looking at you behind looking at the computer.
I like how you guys are authentic and real. So, I just kind of saw an element there that the weird thing about this Kickstarter for me is that I have to sell this thing in a lot of ways, which is so unusual for me. Like I'm not a good salesman. And
I think neither are we.
I think you guys are doing quite well for yourselves. The campaign, if you look at it, it's not me being like, look at this fucking awesome thing. Like, this is the coolest fucking shit. Be a part of the revolution. It's me like being like, this really means a lot to me. I really love this thing. Like, please help me. Like, I very much was like, strategically, I don't think manipulatively, I was being very authentic, but I was trying to, I was selling myself in a way more than this card. Even though I think this cartoon is awesome, I don't know what most people think of it. It seems, I'm not a good salesman.
That's like the most annoying, arguably the most annoying part of like doing anything creative, because it's like if you want people to see it, you gotta find a way to sell it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've done stupid shit. I still like find stickers I put up like 3 or 4 years ago on light poles around here.
Nice.
And it's like,
I've considered doing the same.
I don't know. It's like, and I have had people say like, I saw, I know what that is. I saw the stickers. I'm wearing a damn t-shirt in my show right now, for God's sakes. And, I'm not above it. Ari, that's what you got to do. You got to start wearing merch of your own stuff. And if possible, have a little cartoon of you on it.
Is there any Bento merch? Do we get a Bento sticker that I can slap onto a street sign?
They're in the tiers. They're
gotcha.
So I'll be real again. I wanted to make physical gifts a lot lower initially, but it was advised to me like, hey, like if you actually want to be able to use this money to the film, like do yourself some favors. The majority of the backers are going to be lower than 100 probably, and you don't want to mail out hundreds of stickers or you're not going to have money. And it was a bummer because, like, I think about you guys and I think about friends who like don't have a ton of income but really like Bento, and I want to give them things. So that's something I kind of low key hope too can be remedied with stretch goals. I can maybe lower some of those things to give more people some cool stuff like stickers. I want to give things.
If you think about it, though, even in terms of the fact that, like, you're doing it, though, even in and of itself, it's like you're making this, like, essentially, not for free, but you are making this and putting it on the internet for free for people to consume and enjoy and stuff like that. And I mean, I think that in and of itself is, like, worth a lot, you know?
Thank you. You know what I think kind of is? I have a friend who has this occurrence where if you do a favor for them, they must repay you back. I remember I had a free ticket to a show that I took them to, and they were very insistent that they could buy me a drink or buy me a shirt at the merch table. I didn't really want any of that stuff, but I could just tell, like, oh no, I've really kind of upset the power structure right now in their mind. So I was like, okay, yeah, buy me a shirt. And I think that's kind of how I feel a little bit, where if someone's giving me this money, I'm like, I hope I can deliver. Let me give you something. Let me give you a shirt. Let me give you a hoodie. Let me give you a sticker.
Right.
So, so many people have been so nice that I want to make sure that they feel like they've invested in something that was special to them.
Yeah.
Enough said.
That's just like a very like good sentiment. I think like, you know, part of the reason why like you know, as you might have noticed, we're not doing a 2 minutes of hate this week. It's weird because like for the past like 5-6 years,
I would feel so bad if I was just like, yeah, my Kickstarter is funded, but you know what really cheeses me off?
Yeah,
Twitter.
That's kind of why we changed it.
It's weird because you know, for the past 5-6 years, we thought that we had to do them. We thought that like Big Brother was watching us. The door's been unlocked the whole time. We could have just walked out. We didn't have to do 2 minutes of hate at all. And it's cool because it's like obviously like we're being thrown into a new form of figuring out what do you do when there's no more 2 minutes of hate, when I don't have my Twitter thing to complain about. And it's like, no, I think that your answer to that question and you're talking about, you know, how much this means to you and stuff like that is not something that we oftentimes like get on this podcast. And it's good to like be able to delve into that stuff and that vulnerability and stuff like that, because that is like a thing where it's like
the format.
I do value that because it's like that is like that's the reason why anybody a lot of times, most of the time, does anything is like for the idea of like connection and like I'm going to create this to put this out so that people like get something out of it. And it's like
just
obviously
say you want validation.
Yeah.
I mean, God, that comes into my mind so much. This idea, like, let me. It's like crazy stuff around this came up this week, where it was like,
Say hello to your dog for me. I heard it shaking.
Oh man!
Assuming that's a dog.
That's a dog. Oh man, you might need to give me like 5 minutes. He gets rowdy. Can I go play with him for like 5 minutes?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I'll be right back.
And then don't lose the thread of whatever it was you were talking about.
Yeah. Hang on one sec. All right. Hopefully that will keep him chill for a while. Anyway, should I just go back in? Just get back into it.
Yeah. So just to set you up a little, I think I had said something about just the connection and wanting to make stuff and wanting to do stuff so that people get something out of it. And then however you want to respond to that.
Sure. There's a couple things that reminds me of. One of them is that, and I wanted to talk about this in my campaign video, but I was trying to make that as short and sweet as I could. So this was cut. But yes, as I mentioned earlier, I've had Bento and Plumpy as characters in my mind since I was 13. And when I was in my early 20s, I had gone to a convention, Dragon Con in Atlanta. I was screening a film in a film festival there. It was pretty cool. And I went to a panel there around web series, and they were talking about if you're making a web series, like you got to appeal to a niche, some zombie people, some furries, what have you. And I was like, yeah, what niche am I interested in? And I was like, I like anime. And I was like, what about that like Bento Banana character I have? That'd be fun. And I wrote a couple like 1 minute, 2 minute ideas. They were kind of funny. Felt very old Adult Swim, very crass. But nothing ever happened with them because I think it was just really shallow. It was just like, oh, the anime audience make anime cartoon, make fun of anime. Yeah, oh, isn't it dumb how the animation's so limited? But something weird and magic happened this one evening where, like, years later, I was driving to an improv practice and a J-Rock song was playing on Spotify, just some random song. And I had always had this idea where if I had made some little Bento episodes, that there'd be like a finale where he's fighting, just some kind of, at the time, Nega Bento equivalent, or Shadow the Hedgehog or Wario, just some metal Bento robot.
With an AR-15. Yeah, I got you.
Bro, I could talk Shadow all day. Don't trigger me.
Sorry, my
I'm playing the game currently, but anyway, don't let me go there.
I kind of want to know about that, but all right.
We'll talk later about it if you're interested.
Okay. Off mic
or on mic for a whole other 2 hours. I imagined
2 hours of hate,
love. I imagined him fighting like a metal Bento, but this one evening, as I was driving to improv practice, and I guess this will be a spoiler if Bento 5 happens, I replaced the metal Bento with a executive producer. I imagined, what if the fight was with an executive? And what ensued in my mind honestly made me cry. And I was like, oh my God, I have to do this. This was 5 years ago. And so I have been on a 5-year chase to get to that conclusion that was playing in my mind one evening when a J-Rock song came on Spotify.
Dude, those moments are so invaluable. Like, I've been writing some like scripts in my own like downtime recently, because it's like sometimes I'll have an idea for something and it's like, oh my God, I've never seen that before. I would love to see that. And if somebody else does it before me, I won't be able to forgive myself. Yeah. So I'm like, I got to do it, And it's like, I have like, honestly, a lot of them are like, I've had so many stray ideas where it's like, oh, I've never seen a movie with a scene like this. What if I just build a movie around that and everything else comes into place? I know it's kind of a poor way to start, but just when you have that lightning in a bottle moment and you're like, oh, like you get chills, like, oh, I would love to see that, Right. I feel like you have to chase it.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like that's
been my case.
I feel like that's been, because I've talked a little bit about like, I'm working on a novel, whatever. It's going to take like fucking years to do. And I feel like I'm not even halfway done, like, sort of thing. But that was always like a big thing for me, is like, I always want to like write something. I always want to have something like physical that I can put out that's like a token of like the existence that I've had on Earth, sort of thing. And it's like, yeah, same thing. One day I just had the idea of just like, what if there was just like a guy that thought that he was invisible, but you don't really know if he is or not. Like, what would the inside of that guy's mind? And it's just like, I immediately just started writing. And within like a day or two, I had like 20, 30 pages written, sort of thing. Yeah. And it was just, it came from just that idea, because I've always felt all my life where it's like, sort of like what you were saying, Ari, like what, find your niche. Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to talk about? What ideas do you have? And it's just like, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know what to write about. I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know what I like, stuff like that. And it's like, I had this idea and it's like, I don't think anyone's had this specific idea before,
Exactly.
And sometimes that type of stuff just like triggers in your head. And, obviously, like you were saying, you've been with Bento for a long time. And like, so this is
20
like
years.
The idea of like the conclusion. Is there a point where you're like looking at like, okay, this is the end point, but after the end point that I've had planned for however long, does that give you a feeling of sadness that it's like, oh no, Bento might be over? Or like, is there like the need to want to like do more with it? Or are you just sort of along the lines of like, I'll do this, I'll drop it, and then I can move on to the next thing. And then if I want to come back to it, sort of thing. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
It really varies moment to moment. I think it's mostly this anxious, frantic thought stream of, oh my God, please let me finish this even. Please let me finish this even. I'm not so worried about what's going to happen afterwards. I'm like, please just let me finish it. And I have, like, I think more the way I imagined it being, it will be relief to be like, oh, wow, like, I can rest knowing, I mean, probably not. Knowing how my mind actually works, I'll be like, what's next? But what I tell myself is that when it's done, I can have the satisfaction of knowing that there is a thing out in the world that feels like exactly what I wanted to make. There are a lot of people who I think are waiting for someone to make the thing for them or tell them like, this is amazing. We need to make this with you. We'll do it. Here's all the money you need, and we'll do it for you. But I'm going to pivot for a second because there has been a recent question that's come up amongst me and friends where even though I work in animation, it seems like I am an anomaly where most animators I know do not do what I am doing. They don't have ambitious side animations. Most of them, when they're off work, they have other hobbies. They cook, they hike, they play video games, maybe they draw. But taking a year or longer to make a cartoon is baffling. And so a question occurs sometimes when they approach me and see my work is, wow, how did you do that? And that question is a mindfuck because it's not just like, well, I just love it so much and I just pulled myself up in my bootstraps and I'm disciplined. It's also like, no, I was made fun of a lot as a kid and my ideas are made fun of a lot. So I have to like really polish them and make sure they look good before I can show them to anybody. I really want you to like me. I want this to look really good so you'll like me. Like it's, there's also some trauma in the amount of perfection that I've put into these things. So I forgot how I pivoted to this, but that's been a recurring question on my mind lately, which is like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, I love Bento Banana. I've watched them all multiple times, but I would not say that I anticipated that it came from trauma.
Well, the next episode, I said it on Twitter that episode 4 let me backtrack. Episodes 1 through 3, I feel like are comedies with elements of dark sci-fi. Episode 4 is going to be a dark sci-fi with elements of comedy. And I actually do think there is a little bit of some elements of trauma in Bento, but I just meant in general, like the fact that I put so much time and work into the animations that I make, I think comes from a place of childhood of being like very afraid to show something not good enough to like pass someone's test and be like, oh, you're just a weird neurodivergent kid.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. It's like, why do you think that for the past 5-6 years we've done such an angry show all the time? It's like, yeah, no, I totally relate with that, where it's like, yeah, no, I mean, so much of everything I do has always been sort of like contextualized along those lines, and I think that that's like a very human response, and and a very human like thing to like want to like create something to like either foster that connection or have that connection or like be able to put something out into the world where it's like, I think that that's almost like very first principle-y is just to be like, I'm doing this because I want people to like it, because I think if people like it, that they will like me, because I feel like people didn't like me, sort of thing.
That's what I'm telling you. Validation, baby.
Relating.
Yeah.
And maybe you can make some money while you get it.
Yeah.
At least enough to finish
charge
it.
more for stickers.
Speaking of that, though, I did want to give a shout out. We don't have a new patron this week, but I want to give a shout out to one of our older patrons, Catherine N., who has been a patron of Thought Cops since April 20th, 2020. 420.
Ooh.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you for all the support. You can head on over to patreon.com.
That decision on that day.
Yes, very. I'm hoping it was of sound mind, and she just didn't forget. And she just didn't forget to unsub. But thank you for all the love. Patreon.com/ThoughtCops. If you guys want to support the show yourselves, you can get a backlog of bonus content over at Patreon.com/ThoughtCops. We got a lot of episodes of Fire Bros in there. A lot more to come. And so I don't know if we're doing Key to the City anymore. But
you can do it. There's no hard and fast rules.
I do have one that
you're a thought cop. You make the rules.
Well, I'm going to at least do it on this episode because
Ari,
you might find this interesting. I was at the bookstore the other day, indie comic shop in Chicago called Quimby's. They had a lot of cool stuff there. It's every time I check it out, there's always something new, something. They just got a lot of like people I might work I might recognize from the internet. So I turned the corner the other day and I saw a book on the shelf that made me gasp because it was this book.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Hell
dude,
yeah.
I can't see it. And also, people can't hear it.
This is, it's called Loudest and Smartest. It's by Alex Crocus, who is an old friend of both Ari and mine. And Alex he makes these like 4-panel comics. They're really fucking funny. Follow him on Instagram and on Twitter. I think he does animation work too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
what are the
like
handles?
I don't remember. Look him up.
Okay.
Alex Crocus, Loudest and Smartest. And I guess like this book just came out today, but I happened to find it like a week ago. They must have put it out early or something. And I like messaged him like, dude, I like fucking like. I was like in shock when I'm like, because it's cool to like, like you said, Grant, you want to put something out like a physical token of your existence. But this is the first time that I like had just randomly in the wild seen something physically that somebody I know made,
Right.
So that was really cool. So shout out to him. Loudest and
awesome.
Smartest. It's out today.
Well, I have a Key to the City.
Yeah, go for it.
On the theme of indie comics, the internet darling Alec Robbins, aka Mr. Boop, if anyone's heard of him, has a comic called Crime Hot that I've been picking up. It is a very funny, very sexy comic. I read this thing and I remember thinking, oh, I think I get hentai now. This is amazing. Very, very hot. Very unique. I would describe it as like a Western comic-y Lupin the Third heisty pornographic comic. It's very unique. It's very special.
The cover looks quite sexual.
It is quite sexual. Quite sexual. I'm a fan.
But I don't know, like when I was perusing the aisle of Quimby's and the indie comics aisle, I'm like, man, there is so much amazing stuff happening in this medium. And it's just, because it takes a lot
comics
to get a
in
cartoon
general?
made. Well, like indie comics in general, I feel like there's so much like cool stuff. And I follow a lot of people on Twitter who do their own comics and stuff. I've given out many keys to the city to them over the course of time. But I feel like with indie comics, you can truly be very experimental. Because, obviously making a cartoon is very hard. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of support.
Mm-hmm.
In indie comic, you could make on your own and it's a start, or if that's just what you want to do, you're floating it out there. And I don't know, like it's like every book was just like, there's just so many unique art styles, it felt like each one was more different than the last.
And then one day, someone will make The Umbrella Academy a Netflix television show for you to watch with your eyeballs.
Well, maybe they'll do a Loudest. That's bound to happen. A Loudest and Smartest cartoon. But anyway, yeah. Grant, you see any good comics this week?
No.
What's Garfield up to?
Let me see what he's up to right now.
Well,
What's our old friend Garfield up to?
We have a robot in our Discord that posts every day is gay field. And that's all that I know is that it's Monday and Garfield is gay. So,
well, I'm on Garfield.com.
I guess he's up to that.
I'm on Garfield.com.
We're stepping on some pretty big shoes here, going on Garfield.com, doing a podcast about it.
Oh, nobody else is allowed to talk about Garfield because one guy does it. Come on now.
Since if you guys are changing the format of the show, can we have Garfield News, the Garfield Minute?
Yeah, but whoever does it will eventually stop doing it.
Oh, okay.
Stop contributing.
Jim Davis will have our heads. I don't know. I can't find it. Lasagna Cat's better. Fuck it.
Isn't it just like in the front? Wouldn't that just be if you go to Garfield.com? Shouldn't that just be the first page? Is just today's strip?
It's not.
What the fuck is Garfield.com?
Are they paywalling Garfield?
No, the Garfield.com takes you to nick.com/shows/Garfield.
Sucks.
They
I didn't know
fucking
Nick
cucked
had
Garfield, dude.
He said explains why he's in that Nickelodeon Brawl Star game. I didn't know he was like such a Nick property.
I think that's
Times have
more
changed.
recent. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, these
what
fucking
else do we do?
crossovers have got to chill out. Like, don't get me wrong. Obviously I love Smash Brothers.
Space Jam 2.
Space Jam 2, no. That's where things started to go wrong. But no, like in the Nick All-Star Brawl, that's fine too. I think it's really just the multiverses thing that's just like, all right. And Fortnite, I just saw that I saw a video of like someone like Rick from Rick and Morty doing a Kamehameha and like killing Spider-Man. And then I just saw like this week they added Ash from Evil Dead. What is the logic to adding a character to this, you know?
I saw someone was playing as Malcolm X and he shot a Teletubby.
What?
No way.
That has to be, I'm assuming that's a mod.
I'm lying. That's not true at all. I just made that up in my mind because I'm fucked
that's what we're
in
doing?
the head.
We're doing that on the show now? Lying?
Yeah, we're lying. It's about time.
Do you remember when Freddy vs. Jason came out and that was a big deal? It was just like, whoa, like two different monsters in the same movie?
Yeah. Or Alien versus Predator.
Yeah, I remember thinking like, wow, like that's where things are going. Like that's crazy. Like Batman v Superman, that was like, what, 30 years in the making. And now it's just like, just stuff and stuff. We put Game of Thrones in a Rick and Morty. We put Bugs Bunny in a Tiny Toons. You know what? That one's actually not crazy. That was a bad.
That kind of might make sense.
That one's canon.
I mean that.
You know what though? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is important.
No,
if I had a 2 minutes of hate, this is kind of old now, but it just got brought up. I can't believe that they made Babs and Buster siblings in the new Tiny Toons.
Oh, is that out yet?
Tiny Toons.
I don't know if it is, but they're in college now. And when I was a little boy, I really wanted those bunnies to kiss. And now they're adults, they're in college, and they made them fucking siblings.
Well, depending on the state they live in, maybe it's okay.
I want those bunnies to fuck. And I know what you're thinking.
Wait, they're Tiny Toons, though. They can't.
I know what you're thinking. We're in a post-Game of Thrones world. Incest is cool now, but like, really, guys, you really think that they're going to let that fly? No.
I just want to see one of the characters take out their iPhone and be like, all right, I did it.
Finally. Should we get to some voicemails?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, voicemails. If you guys want to give us a call, 312-788-7361. Or you can always send us an audio file to thoughtcopspodcast@gmail.com. And hit it.
Oh, this will be a good one, considering how much we've been talking about creating things and people making stuff. Let's all listen to this first one.
Hi, Thought Cops. I'm currently writing a piece of fan fiction, and I wanted to get your thoughts on what I've got so far.
You've come to the right place.
Okay, so it starts off with Kermit the Frog chained to a pipe in a dirty bathroom.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, the puppet from Saw comes on the TV. And he's like, "Hello, Kermit. I want to play a game." And Kermit is like, "What? No!" And across from the room is chained to the wall is Sonic the Hedgehog. And the film ends with Sonic cutting one of his feet off and exiting the room and the corpse in the middle of the room is going to be Peter Griffin, and he's going to get up and go after Sonic.
I like stuff and stuff. I like multiverses. I like that there's multiple characters in one setting. I think this is very good.
Was that a new map in Fortnite?
Again, that type of stuff just reminds me of like when I was a kid and I would like take my toy box and like throw all the toys onto the floor and be like, today the Power Rangers are going to be fighting Mario. And it's just like, it's that mentality of, I feel like the people that are making, I know that it's good when you're like a creative person to have a childlike mentality, but there's a difference between childlike and childish. And I feel like so much of this shit is like, yeah, what if the Powerpuff Girls and Scooby-Doo and they all fought each other, and like I can see like grown men in like an office with like two little toys like going like, yeah, and then they're fighting, and then and the Batman comes in and it's like,
and they're just like throwing dollar bills like, yes, yes.
I will say
honestly,
though, that caller, nice voice.
Yeah, I know. He could be the next Leo the Incredible at this rate.
Yeah, we're gonna have I don't know that guy's name. I think that he's left voicemails before.
Yeah, I recognize the voice. I don't know who it is, but I definitely
we're gonna have to have a voice off.
Well, I want to say really quick. I got one last thing to say about crossovers, though. Like I mentioned, Smash Bros. At least there's a logic to it. There's rules, you know. Like he's like the character has to be from a video game. You know, obviously in the beginning it was only Nintendo characters. Okay, simple enough. And then they added Snake, then they added Sonic, and it was like, okay, just characters from a video game. However, they have to have originated from a video game. And his examples were no Goku and no Iron Man. Simple enough. You know, am I still surprised to see Sora? Sure. I don't know where they're going to take it from here, but it's not like, you know, multiverse is just like, what properties do we own? Like, they're just like looking around and like, what puppet do they, you know, let's check our collection.
I mean, Space Jam 2 was, that was the worst advertisement, the longest advertisement I've ever seen in my entire life.
Unless Ari worked on it, in which case.
I did not.
It was great. But I love Space Jam.
I haven't seen it. I'm sure it's a technical work of art, but not a... I think probably the bigger flex is more of the balance of intellectual property. That's really more what that movie is impressive for.
Well, that's like, remember, like, in Roger Rabbit, when Donald Duck and Daffy Duck were, like, playing the piano, like, in a duel-off? That was crazy. First time I saw that, I'm like, wait, did we talk about this last episode? I think we did. Whatever.
Probably. But Ari, you probably, since you're like artistically minded, I think that you would have a hell of a time watching this movie, because the court that they play basketball on is like clear virtual reality, like you see through it. So you can't tell what they're doing at all at any point in time. You just see a sea of like characters in the background, and you cannot tell that they're playing like the game of basketball. It's like it's eye numbing.
My personal gripe, like the reason I just wouldn't see the movie from like a 2D animation, that too, but even more than that, because like I can enjoy a bad film, but
not this one.
If you watch the first Space Jam movie, I feel like the 2D animation holds up. It looks really cool. It's very impressive. It's really well rendered. And in this next movie, there's just such a blatant disregard for 2D that they intentionally make it look like really cheap. Like, I don't want to disrespect any animators. It just clearly doesn't have the same flair and pizzazz as the CG animation does. There's clearly way more money put into that to be like, now they're real cartoons. Now they're cool.
Yeah.
And that just,
I remember when we got to that point in the movie, like Grant, me, and our friend Josh watched that movie together in pain. And I remember we all groaned at the moment when they all turned from like 2D to 3D animation. We're like, oh, man.
It was so much harder to watch.
It's like, why do you think another dimension's cooler? Like, we already live in that dimension. It's cooler when there's less.
That's why people liked the Looney Tunes in the first place. Is people are like, well, you can just take things and flatten them. You can make a duck and a rabbit talk. This is great. They just drop heavy things on each other and they live. I can't do this in real life.
For the record, I am not a like 2D is better than CG. I don't think I came off that way, but just to be clear, like good animation is good animation, but I don't like it when a studio is clearly making one medium seem inferior than the other.
They were favoring one for sure.
I mean, Disney's clearly trying to kill hand-drawn animation, I think because there's so many veterans in that field that they have to pay good rates to, and there's a bunch of younger CG animators who are just like, it's a new medium, it's a new world, but maybe it'll balance out now. I think it's been around long enough and it might be like, it's no longer frugal.
It's all because that goddamn Toy Story.
Yeah. Goddamn Toy Story. Tim Allen, you ruin everything.
Okay. Yeah, let's hit the next voicemail.
Ain't that the truth?
TikTok where people will post their like cat or dog, and it's like my dog or cat's last day on Earth, and it's always so sad because they're like the cat or dog is like, you know, they're old, they have like the gray face, and then they get them like a little bit of ice cream or like a burger, they let them have like people food, and it's so sad, and it's like those those commercials for those abused animals, but this is the social media version of it, and I'm like tearing up even thinking about it. This is the only thing that's like gives me emotion. And I think the punishment should be that their pets live forever, so I don't get these sad fucking videos when I'm already just like a sad person.
That's true.
That sounds sad. I haven't seen those videos, but those if I saw like an old dog eating ice cream, it'd be like, God, I can't. Oh my God.
I like whenever I come across, like she mentioned, the dog with like the dignified, like gray kind of muzzle, you know, like just when you see like a little old dog like that eating ice cream, I have more respect for that dog than I do for any of the troops.
Yeah. How come also we love old animals so much, but there's like an old person and we're like, oh, you're gross. Get away from me.
Well, it's because they're wrinkly.
I'm gonna
look like that one day. I don't want to look. I'll give
you an answer. Dude. I think it's similar to the reason why we like cartoons. It's just because it's just like kind of aesthetically cute way to grapple with complicated topics. So when you see an older animal, like you're thinking about death in this abstract way that's usually uncomfortable when you see an older human being. You're like, I don't want to think about that. But when it's an animal, you can kind of let it in a little easier.
I love this. Ari is like bringing us like philosophy and animation together on this episode. Like really helping us contextualize and cope through life with cartoons, which we all do subconsciously.
This is why, like, I mean, in addition to the bento stuff, I also wanted to have you on because you're a joy to have on.
Thank you.
You know, this felt like a good episode to drop the format. I hope we're juggling it well and whatnot, but it's like, no, this is
Let us
good.
know in the comments.
Yeah, leave a comment, please. Please leave a comment. Leave a review. Speaking of leaving things, someone left another voicemail.
Yeah, hello. Kevin said he wanted new voicemails because there weren't any the past few, so I said next week, and here it is. I don't have anything to hate this week or anything
neither do we.
particular to say that's online. I've been having a good week. I've been playing a lot of video games, which I don't do much anymore. I've been playing No More Heroes 3 on the PS5. It looks good. I also got Them Fighting Herds, and a new TMNT game is going to come here today, I think. I've been playing Overwatch. I also managed to get into this chick's DM somehow. Now I have to learn how to play Apex Legends, which I don't really want to do that, but whatever.
I assume.
I think the language barrier is going to be the bigger hurdle there. Yeah, lots of gaming this week. I think I've been having a pretty good week.
Good.
That sounds good.
I'm glad. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you, okay? No More Heroes 3. Now, that's a game I think both Ari and I played.
Yes.
I think I saw you on there. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Have you seen, because like he mentioned he's playing it on PS5. Have you seen what the game looks like on PS5?
No, I didn't even know it was on PS5.
It's like, it just came out. Like it came out on Switch like over a year ago, and they just put it on PS5. Dude, it looks like night and day better. Or at least a lot more detailed. It's way more detailed. It's like there's like shit like where before there was like nothing in the background or nothing, whatever. There's like a bunch of like details and buildings and stuff now. I guess maybe that's not necessarily better, but it looks obviously crisper.
But
it's
the
cool
hardware is being
just,
utilized.
Yeah, they didn't just like port the game over and like put a shiny coat of paint on it. They actually added in like everything they could for that game. But I do love those games. A lot of fun.
I won't get into a whole thing about this because it could go on forever. But first, real quick question: did you play Travis Strikes Again?
I didn't, and I kind of wish I did because I was kind of lost in certain parts of No More Heroes 3.
Play it or don't play it, but I would recommend watching a video essay on it because, all this talk that we were having earlier around like art and creativity and like auteur theory, like that game is an insane like reflection of Suda51's mentality. I didn't really understand when I was playing it, but then I listened to some YouTubers talk about it. And I have a whole newfound respect for it. So if you're into that series, explore Travis Strikes Again. At least some video essays on it. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, Suda51, I mean, that's one of them. Like, yeah, I forget his full name, or if he just goes by Suda51. I'm not sure if that's just the studio.
That's what
Regardless,
I know him as.
They put a lot of amazing games out, but also very unique, very aesthetically. What did he do? Killer 7, I think, was another one.
Yep.
A lot of games that look like a cel-shaded fever dream. A violent cel-shaded fever dream.
Very pulpy.
Yes.
Very avant-garde. He's a little weirdo.
I know he said he's playing some other games. Also, what was it? He said he's playing Apex Legends to try to get with a girl who he doesn't speak the same language as.
Oh, I missed that detail. I heard him say she said, I got into a girl's DMs, so now I got to learn how to play Apex Legends.
Yeah, and he said the language barrier would be the hardest aspect to overcome with that. I don't know what really that means at all, but good luck, fella. Have fun, I guess.
Like, I don't want the show to turn into like toxic positivity. We can't just go from like toxic to toxic positivity.
Right.
There is a middle here. Like I just like we're not there yet.
I made fun of that guy's fanfic.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. What the hell, man?
That fanfic.
Hey, it'll all balance out. My personal hero, Joe Rogan, once said this about the social justice warrior movement. He said, because it was so far one direction at one point, and now it's going to swing back the other direction. But eventually, it's going to be somewhere in the middle. If it has to go too far the other direction in order for it to sort of like, retain a certain level of like equality or anything like that, then like so be it. Because it's been a certain way for however long, and that's just how it is. Anyway, coupon code for Alpha Green is ThoughtCops20. So
yeah. Hey, we're not ashamed to shill some probably toxic
also legal
powder.
disclaimer. We also do own stake in the company. So now that we have that out of the way, if you go to the website, buy however much you want.
Well,
there
anyway,
is soy in it.
Oh, boy. Anyway, so if that inspired you guys, give us a call, 312-788-7361. You can always send an audio file to thoughtcopspodcast@gmail.com. Also, let us know what you thought about this episode. I know this is a little bit different. We're kind of working out the new quote-unquote format or the new feel of the show. Let's call it the new vibe. Right. Give us a vibe check. Tell us what you thought of the episode. Tell us what Tell us what you like to hear from us, because the show doesn't have to be
detailed criticism. Please, as much detail as you can pack in, as many words as you can.
Garfield Minute. We want the Garfield Minute.
Hit the updoot if you want the Garfield Minute. I sort of mentioned this as we were like sort of talking behind the scenes. Sometimes Kevin and I talk behind the scenes. And I mentioned maybe we'll do a couple episodes that are sort of without the net, so to speak. And then eventually we'll build a net so that we're not idiots. We're gonna build a net, but like for a while, it's like, well, I don't need a net. I can climb this mountain, whatever. But eventually, there'll be something, a piece of string or something. I don't know.
So tug on that string of destiny and ride the wave of Thought Cops season 2. When will season 3 happen? I don't know. Could be 10 years, 20 years, who knows? But
my next
Ari,
mental breakdown, that'll be season 3.
Well,
when I'm eating through a tube.
Ari, let us know where.
Week.
So people, if Bento Banana entices you at all, head on over to bentobanana.com, donate, give some money, help this beautiful passion project become all it can be. Yes, contribute something to society for a change by donating to a cartoon.
That's not what I meant. No,
that's
not
what
I meant. No,
pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Ari's not saying that. I am though. I am.
I've been told not to call it donating. It's called contributing. You're contributing to my campaign. Okay. I wasn't saying contribute to society, you snowflakes.
Well,
I was not saying
I would, because my personal hero Joe Rogan told me if I do martial arts and eat liver that I won't be depressed anymore, and I'm not. No.
Well, for
Ari,
real, if anyone is, find you? Yeah, people can find me they can find my videos on YouTube. I'm just at Ari Grabb. It's also my Twitter handle. And if you want to check out the campaign, please go to bentobanana.com. I think it's a pretty fun page. I put way more work into that page itself than I was imagining, and I'm really proud of it. So even if you're not in a position to contribute, take a look at it. I think there's
some fun graphics,
fun.
Some GIFs.
Yeah, thank you. And overall, I'm just incredibly appreciative of anyone who's ever taken any time to check it out. I put a lot of time and a lot of love and energy into it. So if you've given it any time of day, thank you.
Wonderful. And also check out the first 3 on Ari's YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're 5 minutes long each. Go watch them.
Less.
What are you doing?
Also, what is your Mario video up to now? Because wasn't it
it's 24 million.
Yeah.
Jesus. H.
Yeah. That used to be my cow. I think the algorithm is finally tired of it, but you know what it was? I think Bowsette. Something about Bowsette just made that video go crazy. And it was getting 100, 200,000 views a day for a while.
So you didn't get another bump by like people accidentally clicking on your video instead of the Mario Brothers movie trailer?
You would think, but no. I think the algorithms are done with me. I think just, you know, I call it the witch's curse. We don't gotta talk about algorithms. It's hack now.
They control our lives.
Yeah.
Before we sign off here, Ari, what do you think of the Mario Bros. Movie? Are you looking forward to it? What do you think of it?
I think it's going to be
as an animator and a Mario fan.
I think you just get drunk enough that you forget Chris Pratt's in it, and it's going to be awesome.
That's fair. I'll do
and that won't be hard because you know it's not like his voice is like distinguishable. It's like it's fine. Like he's
Mushroom
Kingdom. You know, I will say I freaked out that he didn't say "let's go." Like, here we come. I was like, "What happened?"
And then, like, you see the French edit of it where, like, the little Mario, he's jumping, and then he goes, "Oh, oh, oh, oh."
Well,
and it's just like, why couldn't he do that?
Hopefully, we'll get a DVD where we can get the French version.
Well, I think the art style looks amazing. Obviously, we talked about that a lot last week, but I wanted to get your perspective as a professional. And,
it's going to be fun.
When the movie comes out, we can psychoanalyze it, you know.
I also will say I changed my mind. I was editing the last episode, and I did say last episode, like, I wouldn't want to listen to Charles Martinet do that for an hour and a half. I changed my mind. I would. I'm totally on board. I'm fine with that. I don't care. I sat through the SpongeBob movie. Have you heard SpongeBob talk? It's not any better. I don't care. He can do whatever voice he wants. Chris Pratt, no.
I am curious what Charles Martinet's cameo is going to be.
My theory is it's going to be like Stan Lee, just like, "Hey kids, you dropped this," or something like that.
Yeah, I could see that. Maybe he'll play himself. Who knows?
I'm honestly, because I guess he did turn down the role of doing Mario, which is why he's not doing it.
He
apparently
did?
I had heard that he turned it down.
I don't believe that.
They only offered him $4,000.
Anyway, let's sign
off here.
Yeah,
let's sign off. Thanks, guys, for listening again. Let us know what you thought of this episode. Let us know what you would want from us in the future. Ari, thank you for coming back on the show. As Grant said, always a pleasure.
Yeah,
Bento Banana. And we'll see you next time.
Usually I'd say, see you, Space Cop here, but I don't want to.
Damn.
I'll do it next time. I still like that part.